All right, so everyone's heard of Tesla, right? I mean, they're basically like what you think of when you think electric cars these days.
Yeah, for sure.
But for this deep dive, I kind of want to get past just the headlines, like what makes them actually interesting as a company. We've got their website pulled up. Always interesting to see what they're pushing at the moment.
Yeah, always.
And then alongside that, a really, really interesting deep dive into Tesla's history, which
Yeah, that's key, I think. To understand a company like Tesla, you can't just look at like the snapshot of today, right? You got to see the line they took, the choices they made to kind of understand where they are now.
well, and speaking of which, like right now they're pushing like 0% APR financing on the Model 3 and the Model Y,
Yeah.
which on paper sounds like a phenomenal deal. Like who wouldn't want 0%
Yeah.
financing?
Like, sign me up.
But it only kicks in if you buy the full self-driving supervised option.
See, and that right there tells you a lot. Most car companies, if they're going to do a discount or a promotion, they want it broad, right? To hit as many buyers as possible. Tesla tying it to this one very specific thing, that's them betting big on their tech.
Okay, so can we pause there for a sec? Because I think for our listener who maybe hasn't been following every Tesla announcement, we got to clarify what even I, as full self-driving supervised, it's a mouthful and honestly kind of confusing.
Totally fair, because the name kind of sounds like the car drives itself fully, which it does not, at least not yet. It's more like, think Autopilot, but way more capable. It can do lane changes on the highway, even some parking situations, but that supervised part is huge E. Means the driver's got to be ready to take over at any time.
Which kind of makes it a gamble for Tesla to tie their big financing push to it, right? Like, this isn't some universally loved, perfect tech just yet. It's still being worked on. There are regulations about it, even ethical debates we could get into.
Yeah, exactly. And for them to incentivize people this way, it shows how much they believe in it, maybe even how much they need people using it.
Right, like get that data from the real world, drivers using it.
Yep, that data is gold to them for further development.
So already we're seeing a company not afraid to take risks, to bet it all on their vision, even if it's not a guaranteed win.
And that's been there from the start, even way back when they were tiny. But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's zoom out for a sec. Tesla's more than just cars now, right? They've got the solar panels, roof tiles, even the Powerwall for your house.
Right, it's like they're not just in the car business, they're in the whole energy business, which is interesting.
And that is where the history is super useful.
Yeah.
Remember when they bought Solar City back in 2016? People thought it was out of left field.
Yeah, kind of random, right.
Nope. That was a step towards what Elon Musk really wants. A fully sustainable energy company that controls everything.
So they're not just making the electric car, they're trying to control how you power the car.
Exactly. Even how you power your whole life. Ideally with their renewable stuff. Ambitious is an understatement.
Definitely. And I think to understand how ambitious, we got to go back, way back, like early 2000s. Electric cars were not the hype then.
Oh, absolutely not.
Like they were seen as slow, clunky, you didn't get very far.
Not cool. Not aspirational at all.
Not the kind of car you'd imagine yourself like turning heads in.
No way. But that's where Tesla's whole deal gets fascinating, right? They didn't just want to make electric cars. They wanted to make electric cars that people wanted. Like, badly.
So it was image. It was about changing how people saw the tech itself, not just the tech itself.
Exactly. And that's where the whole founding story, and especially the moment Elon Musk gets involved, is so important. Company starts 2003, but it's not until Musk puts in a ton of his own money in 2004 that things really take a turn.
So what was it about his vision, do you think, that set them on this path?
He brought this, like, Silicon Valley, move fast and break things energy to this, like, really old industry.
Right, right.
You know, he wanted to completely revolutionize transportation.
And you see that right away. Their first car isn't some like, economy thing, just to get by.
All right.
It's the Roadster, a sports car meant to go up against the best gas guzzlers out there.
It was a statement, 100%. It was like, look, electric doesn't mean slow or boring. It was sexy, it was fast, and it got people noticing Tesla.
But it wasn't just hype, right? Like, they actually had the goods.
Right.
It kind of set the stage for the Model S, which to me is where they really leveled up.
Yeah, the Model S was huge. It wasn't just, oh, that's a good electric car. It was a great car. Full stop. Outperformed a lot of gas cars at the time, had the range, had the tech. That was a big moment.
And don't forget, that's where Autopilot really comes in.
Oh, for sure. And you see that pattern again, them pushing the limits. Autopilot, even back then, it was like a glimpse into the future, even if it wasn't perfect.
Right, it had its critics even back then.
Yep, but it got the conversation going, and that's what Tesla's good at.
Then there's the Model X, which is them doing an SUV, but even then, not a normal SUV.
Oh, yeah, like who else was doing Falcon Wing doors? Nobody.
Exactly. So extra.
It proved they could be practical, but still innovative. Space for the family, but still that Tesla feel.
But they knew to really change the game, they had to go bigger. And
Yeah.
then the Model 3.
That was their play for the masses, right? Make it actually affordable-ish, compete with regular cars, not just luxury.
And it, like, worked.
Oh, it more than worked. People were losing their minds over this car.
It's like they built up the hype with those early cars, got everyone wanting that Tesla life.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, now you can actually afford one.
Smart move. And they did it again with the Model Y, right? SUV, boom! Got to get in on that.
Right.
But still electric, still Tesla.
And then there's the wild cards, like the Cybertruck, which is just, I don't even know.
That's pure Tesla, man. Bold, kind of crazy-looking. People either love it or hate it.
It's like they're saying, we're not just making electric cars, we're making the future. Which, speaking of, brings us back to the whole self-driving thing.
Yeah, Autopilot was just the beginning for them. They want fully autonomous cars, and they're putting their money where their mouth is on that one.
But like we were saying before, it's a tricky thing, right? The tech isn't quite there yet, and people are still iffy about it.
For sure. One crash, and everyone freaks out.
Right, exactly.
So it's a tough needle to thread. Keep pushing the tech, but also make sure it's safe and people trust it.
And a big part of that tech, and where they seem to have a huge lead, is the battery.
Oh, yeah. Bringing the battery production in-house. Genius move. They control everything, and they can experiment way faster than anyone else.
And this 4680 battery everyone's talking about, for those of us who aren't, like, battery nerds, what's the big deal?
Basically, it's all about energy density. More energy, same size battery. Imagine a gas tank, right? Same size, but one magically holds more gas. That's what they're doing.
So more range, faster charging, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And it plays into that vertical integration thing again. They realized for EVs to win, charging has to be easy.
Oh, yeah, that was a big hurdle for people.
Their Supercharger network,
Yeah.
that was planned from the start. Other car companies are still trying to catch up.
It's like they looked at the whole picture, not just the car itself.
Exactly. And it's given them a massive advantage. They're building the whole ecosystem.
It hasn't all been easy, though, right? They've had their ups and downs, to say the least.
Oh, for sure. Delays, some quality hiccups early on.
Elon Musk's Twitter, let's be real.
Yeah, that too. But hey, that's part of the Tesla ride.
And that's the thing. You can't talk about Tesla without talking about him.
Right.
He's the face of the company, for better or worse.
For sure.
Some people think he's a visionary, others not so much.
Yeah, it's polarizing.
But how much do you think his whole style, even with the drama, how much has that played into their success?
Yeah, it's kind of, you can't separate the two, right? Like,
Yeah.
on the one hand, you've got this guy, energy like you wouldn't believe, gets people excited, brings in investors like crazy.
Nobody else like him, that's for sure. But then there's the, the tweets, the controversies. It's like, is he always focused on what's best for the company? I don't know.
It's a trade-off, right? Like, yeah, the unpredictability makes people nervous sometimes. But you also can't argue with the results,
And he just thinks bigger than anyone else, like actually trying to change the world, not just make a slightly better car.
That rubs off on people, that energy, it's contagious.
Like taking that whole Silicon Valley disrupt everything mentality and just shoving it into this like old school car world.
Exactly.
Love him or hate him, he shook things up. But even putting Musk aside for a sec, let's zoom out, big picture. What's Tesla's impact really going to be on cars, on everything?
You can't deny it, they changed the game. Other car companies, they can try to act like Tesla didn't matter, but that's BS. They kicked off this whole EV revolution.
They did. They made it, I don't know, cool to care about electric.
It wasn't about saving the planet anymore. Suddenly it was about performance, tech, luxury even.
Yeah. Like, you wanted a Tesla. You didn't just settle for one.
Exactly. And that changed everything. Governments got involved, subsidies, charging stations popping up. Tesla didn't do it all, but they were the spark.
The catalyst, for sure. And it's bigger than just cars now, right? The batteries, the solar stuff, even the self-driving, it's all part of this.
Expandable future, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to just sell you a car. They want to sell you the whole way of life, powered by them.
Ambitious doesn't even cover it. And it's still playing out. Who knows how it ends?
Right. Like they might stumble, they might not hit every goal, but they've already done something incredible.
So we're ending this deep dive, but Tesla's story isn't over. What do you think's next for them? What challenges, what crazy new tech are they going to come up with?
Yeah, makes you think, right? Their choices, they could actually change how we live, and that's exciting to watch unfold.
That's a good point. We're not just talking about some company here. It's bigger than that. So, until next time, keep an eye on Tesla, keep asking those questions, and as always, keep diving deep.